For the provisional cast-on, use a crochet hook that is a similar size to your knitting needle, and use scrap yarn that is a thicker gauge than the yarn you're using for your project. Here I'm using DK weight for my provisional cast-on, but my project yarn is fingering weight. Make a slip knot as shown and slip it over the crochet hook. Next, lay the crochet hook over your knitting needle and grasp the end of your slip knot with your knitting needle. This may feel awkward at first, but you'll get used to it. Next, wrap the yarn counterclockwise around the needles and with your crochet hook, pull a stitch through the slip knot. You've now cast on one stitch provisionally onto your knitting needle. Repeat for the number of stitches for your cast on. Casting on my third stitch now. Literally, the extent of my crochet skills are the provisional cast on and creating a very slow chain. So if I can do this, so can you. After you've cast on all the stitches for your project, create a chain, as shown here, by wrapping the yarn around the crochet hook and pulling a stitch through each time. You want to do this 4 or 5 times. I think that's a sufficient chain, so I'm going to cut the yarn, and then I'm going to pull the yarn tail through that last loop to cinch it off. Next, you're ready to knit one round or one row with the main yarn of your project. As you can see, I'm starting from the crocheted chain side. It's important to first knit one round or one row regardless of the stitch pattern that you'll be working next. In my patterns, I like to call this the setup row or setup round. Working this knit row or round makes it easier for unzipping your provisional cast on later. When the pattern tells you that it's time to undo your provisional cast on, simply pull through the yarn tail out from that loop and unzip. Come from behind the stitches from back to front so that your stitches will be oriented correctly. This is difficult to do with the foam between me and my work. Okay, you can see that the last stitch is held there with the yarn. I'm going to count my stitches. I had 16 stitches, but here I only have 15 stitches. So you want to make sure that you catch this last stitch because it does look different than the others. There, I'm now back to 16 stitches on my needle.